Have you ever noticed how often we feel the urge to explain ourselves? We tell people what we're planning, what we're struggling with, what's happening in our relationships, even our future dreams. And sometimes, without realizing it, we give away so much of our inner life that there's almost nothing left just for us. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology, believed that the soul speaks through silence, boundaries, and what we choose not to reveal. When we constantly share what's happening in our lives, we might think we're being open, but in truth, we may be draining our energy, giving away our power, and even sabotaging our growth. In this video, I'm going to share 15 powerful lessons inspired by Jung's ideas that explain why you should stop telling everyone what's happening in your life, and how to protect your energy, your relationships, and your inner world. These lessons are not about being secretive or cold. They're about creating space for your own transformation, learning when to speak and when to remain silent, and honoring the depth of your own journey. So let's dive in. Key. Lesson 1. Energy scatters when you overshare. When you share every detail of your life, you scatter your energy. Words are not just communication. They carry intention, vibration, and focus. The more you explain your plans, the less force they have. It's like opening the oven before the bread is ready. You let out the heat and the dough collapses. Everyday example, you're planning a new project. Instead of working quietly, you announce it to everyone. Suddenly you feel pressure, doubt, and even resistance from others. The project loses momentum before it has even started. Jung would remind us, the unconscious thrives in silence. Growth often needs privacy. Key. Lesson 2. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. When you share everything, you unconsciously invite people into your sacred space. But not everyone has the wisdom, kindness, or maturity to hold what you reveal. Some will judge, others will gossip, and some may even use your openness against you. By protecting your privacy, you protect your soul from unnecessary wounds. Everyday example, you tell someone about your struggles, and instead of support, they dismiss you or compare you to others. What was meant to heal becomes another burden. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates, and you choose who gets access. Key. Lesson 3. Mystery creates respect. There is something powerful about people who don't reveal everything. Mystery creates presence. It makes others curious, attentive, and respectful. Think about it. The leaders, teachers, or even friends you admire most, do they tell everyone every detail of their life? Probably not. Their silence carries weight. Jung once said that what is hidden often has the most energy. Silence builds magnetism. Key. Lesson 4. Oversharing invites projection. When you tell others too much, you give them material to project their fears, insecurities, or unresolved issues onto you. Jung's theory of projection explains that people often see in others what they cannot face in themselves. The less you reveal, the less ammunition you give for others to project their shadows onto your life. Everyday example, you share your dream of moving abroad. Instead of encouragement, someone says, "That's impossible, you'll fail." But really, they're projecting their own fear of change, not your reality. By staying private, you protect yourself from being shaped by other people's shadows. Key. Lesson 5. Silence strengthens intuition. When you're always telling others what's happening, you stop listening to yourself. You begin to rely on their feedback instead of your inner voice. Silence, on the other hand, sharpens intuition. It allows you to sit with your feelings, test your decisions, and connect with your deeper wisdom before exposing it to the noise of the world. Everyday example, you're unsure about changing jobs. If you tell 10 people, you'll get 10 different answers and feel more confused than before. But if you sit quietly with your intuition, the answer becomes clearer. Jung believed the psyche reveals truth in symbols, dreams, and inner reflection, not in endless chatter. So, quick reflection. So far, here are the first 5 lessons. Oversharing scatters your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Mystery creates respect. Sharing invites projection. Silence strengthens intuition. Together, they show us that silence is not weakness, it's power. Privacy protects the soul and gives it room to breathe. Key Lesson 6. Talking too much strengthens the ego. When we constantly talk about our lives, achievements, or even struggles, we unknowingly feed the ego. The ego loves to be seen, validated, and praised. But Jung warned that the ego is only a tiny part of the psyche. The more we inflate it with words, the more disconnected we become from our deeper self. Story example. Imagine someone who just started going to the gym. Instead of quietly focusing on progress, they post every workout online, telling everyone they're changing their life. Soon, the motivation shifts from inner growth to outside approval. And when likes or compliments stop coming, so does their effort. Silence helps us work for transformation, not for applause. Key Lesson 7. Privacy builds stronger relationships. It may sound strange, but not telling everything to your partner, friends, or family can actually make the relationship stronger. Why? Because mystery and individuality create healthy space. If you overshare every detail, the other person may feel overwhelmed, or worse, they may stop appreciating your presence because nothing is left for discovery. Story example. Imagine couples who constantly post every private moment online. At first, it looks romantic, but soon the relationship feels more like a performance than a partnership. Compare that to couples who keep their intimacy sacred. There's depth, respect, and trust. Jung would say relationships grow when the I and the you remain whole, not when they dissolve into endless exposure. Key Lesson 8. Silence protects you from envy. One of the hardest truths is that not everyone wants to see you succeed. When you share too much, your plans, dreams, or progress, you may unintentionally invite envy. Jung often spoke of the shadow, the hidden part of the psyche that holds unacknowledged feelings like jealousy or resentment. When people hear about your life, their shadow may react, even if they don't realize it. Story example. You tell a friend you're starting a new business. They smile politely, but inside, their shadow feels threatened. Later, they make a discouraging comment that plants doubt in your mind. Without knowing it, their envy has already influenced your path. When you keep your moves private, you allow them to grow without interference. Key Lesson 9. Not speaking frees you from pressure. When you announce your plans, you create invisible pressure. People start asking, "How's it going?" or "When will it be ready?" Suddenly, your private goal becomes a public performance. This pressure often kills the joy of the journey. Imagine you're learning to play the guitar. If you keep it private, you enjoy every step, the mistakes, the progress, the little victories. But if you tell everyone, suddenly you feel you must be good enough whenever someone asks for a performance. The fun disappears. Silence lets you grow without an audience. Key Lesson 10. Oversharing blocks the soul's symbols. Jung believed the soul speaks through dreams, intuition, and symbols. But when we overshare, we drown those quiet voices with noise. Words are like a flood. If you speak too much, the deeper messages get washed away. Silence, however, makes room for those subtle insights to rise. Story example. Someone feels anxious but doesn't know why. Instead of sitting with it, they talk endlessly about it with friends, analyzing every detail. The more they talk, the less they hear what their own psyche is trying to say. But if they stay silent and reflect, the anxiety may reveal its meaning through a dream or sudden realization. Silence isn't emptiness. It's a space where the soul finally has room to speak. Reflection. So far we've uncovered 10 lessons. Talking too much strengthens the ego.
Privacy builds stronger relationships. Silence protects you from envy. Not speaking frees you from pressure. Oversharing blocks the soul's symbols. Together with the first 5 lessons, we're starting to see the bigger picture. Silence is not just about boundaries, it's a form of wisdom. It protects your path, strengthens your relationships, and deepens your connection to the self.
Lesson 11. Silence strengthens inner power. When you stop announcing every step of your life, you begin to notice something remarkable. You feel stronger inside. Power leaks out when we speak too much. Every time you tell someone about your goals, you release energy that could have fueled your actions. Silence, instead, stores that energy within you. Example: think of a seed underground. It doesn't shout, "I'm growing roots." It simply grows, silently, until one day it breaks the soil with undeniable strength. Your silence is your hidden power. Lesson 12. Not everything needs witnesses. We live in a world where we feel that if it's not posted, it didn't happen. But the truth is, some of the most beautiful experiences lose their magic when exposed. Carl Jung believed that sacred things lose their power when dragged into the ordinary light. Certain emotions, dreams, and realizations belong to the private temple of your soul, not the public marketplace. Example: a quiet walk during sunset, a dream that shakes your heart, a sudden spiritual insight. If you run to tell everyone, the sacred becomes ordinary. But if you hold it close, it continues to grow in depth and meaning. Lesson 13. Oversharing can distort reality. The more we tell stories about our lives, the more we risk editing them to fit what others expect. Eventually, we lose track of what actually happened and start living for the story instead of the experience. Example: someone goes on a vacation. Instead of living the moment, they think, "How will this look on Instagram?" Their memory becomes filtered, staged, and shaped for an audience. Later, they realize they never truly lived the trip. They only performed it. Silence protects you from turning your life into a performance. Lesson 15. Silence helps you face your shadow. One of Jung's most important ideas was the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves we often avoid. Talking too much can be a way of running from the shadow, distracting ourselves with endless chatter. But when you choose silence, you confront yourself. You begin to notice uncomfortable truths, fears, and desires. And instead of escaping them, you learn from them. Example: sitting quietly with your own thoughts might feel uneasy at first, but slowly you notice patterns, jealousies, regrets, unspoken dreams. These are not enemies, they are guides. Silence gives you the courage to meet them. Lesson 15. True transformation happens in silence. All deep transformation, whether spiritual, psychological, or personal, happens away from the spotlight. The caterpillar does not announce its cocoon stage to the world. Transformation requires privacy. The butterfly only appears when the work is complete. If you want real change, protect it with silence until it becomes unshakable. Conclusion: the power of keeping quiet. So, what do we learn from these 15 lessons? Silence is not emptiness. It's protection, energy, and wisdom. By keeping some parts of your life private, you give space for growth,
Protect yourself from envy and stay connected to your deeper self. Carl Jung's psychology reminds us that not everything is meant for the public eye. Some things grow best in the shadows until the right moment comes. Now, let me ask you, do you think you share too much about your life, or do you already practice the art of silence? Drop your thoughts below. I read every comment. And if this video made you reflect, give it a like, share it with someone who overshares little too much, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights inspired by psychology, philosophy, and personal growth. Until next time, remember, your silence may be the loudest voice of your true self.